Now let's dive into the wild tale of the coolest startup in the supercar world, starring no one other than Ferruccio Lamborghini. This story is all about his passion, his mistakes, and how he went from being a farmer's son who built tractors to taking on the legendary Enzo Ferrari himself. He wasn't some fancy rich guy, he was just a regular dude, growing up on a farm with a love for fixing up motorcycles and cars. Let's get into it. So, Ferruccio Lamborghini was born in 1916 in this tiny village in northern Italy. His folks were farmers, like most folks back then, and they kinda hoped he'd inherit their love for farming. But young Ferruccio had other ideas. He was more into machinery than vineyards. As a kid, he was totally obsessed with gadgets. His parents noticed this, and instead of forcing him to be a farmer, they set up a little workshop at home where he could tinker to his heart's content. Lamborghini was seriously into tinkering, collecting gizmos and fixing stuff. He even caused a bit of an explosion at home once, but that didn't slow him down. When he hit middle school, he knew mechanics was his jam, so he got himself a technical education. Honestly, I'm not even sure if he graduated, because at 16, as soon as he got his welding and casting license, he started working as an apprentice at a forge. A year later, he landed a job at this big deal workshop in Bologna, which made stuff for the military. After gathering some experience there, he went back to his hometown and started making a living fixing anything from tractors to cars. A year later, just 18, he and his buddy Marina Flippini decided to open a repair shop. Sometimes they'd even buy old cars or bikes, fix them up and race them around. Ferruccio's startup was just getting started when World War II broke out. In 1940, he was drafted into the Italian Royal Air Force on the island of Rhodes. He ended up being the go-to guy fixing military vehicles. His skills got noticed, and he quickly moved up to running the show. Fast forward to September 1943. Italy switched sides in the war and ended up fighting against Germany. When they tried to leave the island, about 30,000 Italians were captured by the Germans. Ferruccio was one of them. But instead of throwing him in a cell, they put him to work fixing German military gear. And that got him accused of collaborating when the war was over. So he got home only in 1946 when he was already 30 years old. To be fair, those war years taught him a lot about cars. Right after the war, Ferruccio tied the knot with Clelia Monti. They went on their honeymoon to Naples, and guess what he noticed? Lots of busted military gear lying around from the war. Ferruccio had this brilliant idea to buy up that junk from the Italian government for cheap and try to turn those broken down military machines into farming equipment. Italy desperately needed tractors after the war, so this was a genius move. He started buying up all the discarded gear, teamed up with Marino, souped up one of the cars with a more powerful engine and a new evaporator design, and voila! They had a simple, reliable tractor. Local farmers went nuts for it. They wanted more, but Ferruccio needed cash to start production. So he partnered with 3 friends, and they started their own company to make tractors. They managed to raise about 2 million Italian lire. The company was named Lamborghini Trattori Monte Guadalocca, which is probably 4 friends' surnames. They all chipped in, and Ferruccio mainly worked on improving the engine's evaporator for better fuel efficiency. 3 or 4 months later, they birthed the first Carioca tractor from a busted truck. It was a hit, and Ferruccio got orders for more. But life had its ups and downs. In 1947, just a year after getting married, his wife passed away, while giving birth to their son, Tanino. Losing his wife and having a baby to raise drove Ferruccio to throw himself into his work. Work was his refuge. A year later, he decided to part ways with his buddies and started working with 4 mechanics. He also found love again and got married to Anita Borgatti. They never had kids of their own, so Anita raised Tanino as her own. The day after their wedding, Ferruccio and Marina joined the Mille Miglia race in a modified Fiat nicknamed Mickey Mouse. They were cruising most of the way until they skidded on a turn and crashed right into a roadside restaurant. Miraculously, nobody got hurt except the car. But that was it for Ferruccio's racing dreams. He wanted fame and success, but not as a driver. He wanted to create stuff with his engineering genius. Ferruccio knew that to kickstart a company, he needed some serious cash. He went to his dad, who wasn't exactly loaded, and asked him to put up his farm as collateral. The risk was enormous, since Ferruccio's family had 4 more kids to feed, and the farm was their only income source. But with the farm on the line, Ferruccio secured a 10 million lira loan from the local bank and founded the Lamborghini Trattori company. In just 2 years, production shot up from 1 tractor a week to about 200 a year, and they had 30 workers on board. The old military leftovers were replaced with new Italian-made engines, and Lamborghini tractors became the best in the business. 35 years old, Ferruccio bought a 108,000 square feet plot of land to build a tractor factory. He wasn't just a small-time manufacturer anymore, he was an industrialist. The next year, the Italian government started offering farmers loans to buy locally made farming gear. You can guess what happened next. Lamborghini's tractor business skyrocketed. They had 2 assembly lines, cracking out 14 different tractor models. Now the name Lamborghini wasn't just a local thing, it was known all over Europe. Interesting fact, you might not know this, but his curiosity led him to partner with Ailwaldi to create a helicopter prototype. But that project never really took off, and the reasons why remain a mystery. In the early 60s, Ferruccio started a new company, Lamborghini Trattori, making a heating systems and gas boilers. Those babies were shipped to other countries, not just lining his pockets, but helping out Italy's economy too. With demand on the rise, they expanded production and business was booming. Meanwhile, Lamborghini Trattori was going strong, employing nearly 400 people and churning out 30 units a day. But Ferruccio's real claim to fame wasn't tractors or boilers. It was the supercar empire he was about to build. He was an entrepreneur, but he was also a car enthusiast. His garage was a playground of about 7 sport cars, and he'd switch between them depending on his mood. During his downtime, he studied their designs, take them apart and fix them up. His love for cars was unstoppable, and he even built a small car for his son Tonino. But Ferruccio wasn't even thinking about switching from tractors to supercars until the 60s. The story goes that it all started after he bought a Ferrari, but he didn't like it. Said it was too noisy, had a lousy clutch, and felt like a modified truck car. So he drove over to Enzo Ferrari's place and told him that his cars were just garbage. Ferrari advised Ferruccio, the tractor guy, to stick to tractors. That didn't sit well with Ferruccio. He knew he could make a car that wiped the floor with Ferraris. Ferruccio might have been a maverick, but also a shrewd businessman. He saw the profit and the image boost he'd get by giving into the car game. So, in 1962, he founded the Automobili Ferruccio Lamborghini company with some of that tractor money. He knew the key to success was getting the right team. He hired a top-notch car designer, Franco Staglioni, and cherry-picked some engineers who'd just quit Ferrari, tired of dealing with Enzo's fiery temper. Ferruccio decided to use an attacking bull as his company emblem, inspired by a trip to a Spanish bull ranch. He was wowed by the powerful, evasive beasts. Not many people know this, but Ferruccio always named his sport cars after bulls or things related to bullfighting. The guy had a thing for power and aggression. 47 years old Ferruccio built a car factory and got to work. He first wanted to create an engine better than the Ferrari 250 DDO, and his team did just that. The V12 engine could hit a mind-blowing 8,000 RPMs, generating 360 horsepower. That engine could easily go up to 400 horses, but Ferruccio told them to dial it down. He wasn't looking for a crazy race car, he wanted a high-end raw beast. The Lamborghini 350 GTV wasn't just a stunner. It outperformed Ferrari cars in a big way. A speed of 170 miles per hour was unheard of that time. Critics weren't sure about the design. They thought it was too wild, too out there. But the car had its fans. People were done with the status quo. 3 years later, Lamborghini Miura was presented to the public. This car was a game changer. Everyone from racing stars to regular folks wanted one. They built more than 800 cars in 6 years. Ferruccio wanted to prove to Enzo Ferrari that he wasn't just about tractors, and he did it big time. Although Ferruccio was now more into his car business, the tractor business was still going strong, churning out 8,000 tractors a year. This is all until the auto industry's bubble burst in the 70s. First, the ideal to supply tractors to Bolivia fell through. That left them with 5,000 tractors just gathering dust. And then, big orders to South Africa weren't coming in as expected. This meant that the tractor business could no longer afford his car factory. It was at this point that Ferruccio decided to sell a majority share of Automobili Ferruccio Lamborghini. for $600,000 to Swiss billionaire George Henry Rossetti. But he still stuck around and kept working at the plant. But even with that sell-off, the supercar business wasn't looking so good. The 1973 oil crisis hit the auto industry hard, and car prices dropped like a stone. Big car companies started adapting to the market by making small engines. But that wasn't Ferruccio's style. He was 58 years old when he made a bold decision to sell the rest of his shares in the company. Rano Leimer, a friend of George Henry Rossetti, bought the remaining 49% shares. Ferruccio was stepping back from the game. He knew that he couldn't run an automobile business without solid financial backing and a good successor. His son, Tonino Lamborghini, wasn't interested in tractors or cars. So he sold most of his businesses, including his tractor business, and got himself a nice chunk of land in 1974. He got into grape growing and winemaking, inspired by his parents' farm. Eventually, he opened a golf club and even started producing golf carts. Ferruccio Lamborghini passed away in 1993 at the age of 76. His son, Tonino Lamborghini, opened a museum in his father's memory and designed a roundabout called Town Light. His daughter from his third marriage, Patricia, is still running her father's winery. Lamborghini as a company is under the control of Audi. Ferruccio Lamborghini's story is inspiring because it shows how someone can achieve incredible success when faced with problems in their everyday life and then have the ability to see solutions that competitors might miss. This story is a testament to his relentless pursuit of excellence, from tractors to supercars, and his unwavering belief in his own vision. It's a reminder that even a small-town mechanic and farmer's son can change the world of luxury sports cars forever. Please share this video with your friends, and remember, keep up learning, guys. Success is just the number of attempts.